basically more focused on education. And today we're just going to be more focused on a global scale. We already know about the fact that over the last few years, sustainability has become a great topic for discussion across various education institutions around the world. According to UNICEF, education for sustainability is the only long-term solution to tackle climate issues that we face nowadays, and is the role of teachers and students to make sure that climate and sustainability is regularly addressed with the classroom. As I said before, we will have three academic teachers that will present their perspective about how to reach sustainability and about the overall sustainability subject. And also we will have the prospect from three students coming from ARU. Will be this discussion between them and will be a Q&A session. Having said that, I will introduce our first speaker for today. We have Professor Nanda, that is a current associate lecturer in the Faculty of Business and Law that teach various subjects around sustainability. Nanda will share with us his teaching approach into the classroom. So a very big welcome to the Professor Nanda that is today. Thank you to join us today. And without further ado, I will just pass you the microphone if you are ready.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. And I really appreciate, being able to present my view in front of you today on this summit. I feel privileged. Thank you. Right. The topic I was told when Tatiana first approached me, the topic should be how to teach this subject in the classroom, basically, right? Now, I must admit, I have a problem. I am a teacher, so once I start speaking, it is very difficult for me to stop before 45 minutes, which is the measured span of a session. So if I go beyond that, please make me stop. Right. I'll try to be within 10 minutes. First of all, before sharing any screen or anything at all, let me say something about this subject, sustainability or sustainable transformation. Now, like any other subject which we study, we expect certain outcome of this from this subject, certain level of engagement, and while teaching any subject for that matter, we have certain template for teaching that, be it physics, chemistry, mathematics, fine arts, humanities, social science, whatever. We know there is this knowledge, this curriculum, and we have to get the students engaged with us by presenting those knowledges acceptably. And that's what we do. However, this sustainability subject has something unique in it. First of all, this is an evolving subject. It is changing every day. It's not physics. It's sustainability. I'm referring to physics because I graduated in physics. I know that physics is also changing like any other subject. But in graduation courses, physics are rather rigid. You cannot go and demand to the professor that teach me Big Bang Theory or teach me black hole. No, there is this curriculum. But in sustainability, you can, because it is emerging and it is evolving. So that is one difference. Second thing is that this particular sustainability subject is not just one subject. It is culmination of many skills, abilities, and knowledges. In academic terms, we call it cross-discipline. So it is the teacher's responsibility to identify the necessary skills and tools and theories and concepts and abilities and put them together, present them to the students so that they can, assimilate it, right? So these two things, which I understand, outcome-based and cross-discipline, these two things, I take as the unique things about sustainability, which we have to keep in mind while teaching in the class, and which I did. And there is a third thing, which is totally unique to this subject. This is called passion, love for the subject, right? Now, well, I must admit that passion is required in other subjects as well. as passionate as you are, you'd be enjoying the subject and you'd be doing good, right? So, but in sustainability, if you don't have the passion, or if you at least you don't feel the passion, you don't have to have it. You need to feel it. If you don't do that, if you can't do that, then it is very difficult for you to really uh, go ahead with the subject, studying or practicing or anything, because the subject, however much romantic it sounds, the core modules are not that romantic. When I talk about risk management or balance scorecard, I am sure some of you who remember those from our sessions, probably tried to hit me on my head with a pen. What are you talking about? But believe me, those things are really, really needed. So, with that overview, if I am allowed to, I'll talk about passion in the end, right? If I can, present something just to, just a minute. Where is this? I'm always confused with this sharing thing. Yeah, okay, got everything right. Just to put everything in an orderly fashion in front of you, I would like to, right, okay. So, yeah, as I said, the outcomes, what we intend to have as a teacher: awareness, some interest and action, or at the highest level, we can use this subject, this training, as an enabler to all of you. Because those who are studying this subject, of course, you will be aware, maybe you will develop some interest, but if you can gather certain skills, tools, and concepts which are going to help you professionally, then those things are the enablers. And those enablers we have tried to incorporate into the module which we have gone through during last 12 weeks. And those enablers are the concepts like triple bottom line, the concepts like tragedy of commons, and the tools like how to assess risk or how to manage EMP, how to manage stakeholders, how to manage change. These are just examples. I'm not going to elaborate on that, don't worry. So these are the three levels where we can teach the subject, right? Then the levels of engagement from someone who is being taught. Now, you can be engaged occasionally in your life with sustainability issues. Some people do, uh, give away some donations, say some words on some forum, that kind of stuff. Some people are passionate, and I have actually observed some of you are really, really passionate about it, which is good. And as many people we get in the passionate section, that would be great. And the third and final level is professional. Now, a professional does not have to be passionate all the time, but definitely they have to be very serious and honest about their job. And in addition, if they become passionate, then it is always going to help them. So, in this, to to put everything into one thing, as I said, that as a teacher in the class, we have to do a few things. Number one, while studying the curriculum, the syllabus, so to say, what I did, I'm just reiterating that thing. Initially, when I studied the syllabus at the starting of this year, I said we could have included some of the latest business management and professional level technology and techniques and concepts into this, because if you guys go as a professional into any profession, not a sustainability related profession, so called green jobs. No, even if you go into marketing, event management, or anything at all, you need to have some sort of sustainability concept, because all the companies are compelled to go into that vision, and they are associating sustainability literacy with their other jobs, like in finance, like in marketing, in HR, everywhere. And I can show you plenty of jobs which are like marketing job with knowledge of sustainability, so on and so forth. Now, as a teacher, we need to understand this and we need to put a direction into our syllabus so that we can include those knowledge modules which are required. Number one. Number two, which I believe and I tried to kind of permeate the passion to the student into the student's mind as far as possible. That is not always possible, but if you can make it happen, that will definitely help them, right? So even if they have the passion and get into a profession which is green job or green profession, or a profession which needs some supports, some supporting role which needs some knowledge of sustainability, then what happens, you either, I'm just talking about the professional thing now, or either you can be just an informed individual who can use your knowledge in your job if required, that's fine. If you become an enabled professional, like you know how to make an EMP, you know how to do the change management, stakeholder communication, and what are those process cycles, business process, which are impacting the business, impacting the sustainability of various aspects, then you can take a strategic role. And as a teacher, my job, I think, is to make that very clear to you that you can do this if you understand that, and if you want to do that, of course. You can also become a support professional, so we have to keep the provision in the course while teaching, so that those who don't want to get into a strategic role or a purely sustainability role, but yet need some supporting knowledge, that should be it. And of course, you can become a dedicated SDG specialist. For that, you will have to have a few other trainings later. However, keeping all that in mind, what I have spoken so far about are the knowledge elements, tools, concepts, practicing practices like balance scorecard and stuff like that. And based on that, we can always refer to the skill map, which all of you know that it is being provided by the IEMA. And in that skill map, actually, they have divided it into very, very nicely into certain areas which could be used individually for anything, and which in collaboration with your sustainability knowledge could be put into very good use if you have some use of sustainability knowledge in your job. So those skills are, I should say, some inseparable part of sustainability training as well. So knowledge, cross-discipline knowledge, importing them, skills, and finally, before the passion, the thing is that since this is an evolving subject, I think students also have some sort of, I shouldn't say responsibility, but they also have some leeway to come and tell the teacher that, well, this is good, this is bad, there are those improvement scopes, this is the thing we need to learn, or what is it, and that kind of stuff. And then finally, I'm just coming to the end of my speech, or whatever you call it. Finally, the passion thing. Now, I would like to share some of my photographs which I have taken across many places. I love touring, I love traveling, and I have been lucky enough to see certain pristine areas and pristine life forms of this art. And that actually started, creating the passion within me. And when we came to see that how the art, the planet is being impacted, then I decided that sustainability is a subject worth knowing and practicing, right? So with this, just let me show some of those things. Like now, this is, I hope you can see that clearly. This is a glacial lake in, let me present it in a presentation mode. Yeah, right. It's a glacial lake in Iceland. Some of you have seen it probably. It's called Jökulsárlón. and comes out of the glacier. Now, the thing is, this lake is getting reduced every year, and this was what it was earlier. This is what it is now, global warming. Now, when you see this, when you stand at the bank of this glacial lake, this beautiful nature, you will feel the difference, and you will see, yes, there is something happening which is not really something good. And if we have the capability, if we have the enablers to change it, not overnight, but in the long run, we should do that. So there comes the passion. Now, the second thing is this location is in southern Turkey. I should say it's the Turkey and Iran border, Iraq border. It is about 2 hours to 3 hours drive from Iraq border. Now, this is desert. These places were about 2000, 3000 years back was not that kind of a desert. It was you know what they call it, this volcanic thing, but it was not, it was quite green. Now, do we need that kind of stuff, or do we need this kind of stuff? This is in Romania. This is near a place called Peles. Beautiful, lush, green, and pristine forest. Do we need that? So, when I have gone through all these locations, honestly, I think all of the students, those who are interested in sustainability, do a bit of a travel, may not be far away, close by, and try to see what this is art all about, really. And finally, it's really my passion, wildlife. Now, this is a little distressing. This is a picture from 150 years back, probably in India, when tiger hunting was a sport. This gentleman over here killed this tigress with her cubs. And this gentleman over here, they are all famous people, I'm not naming them from that age. In one hunting trip, he has killed so many tigers. And now, when you see the tiger in the wild, which I have done many times in my life, this is one of those, a young fellow, a teenager. And I met him 2 years back when I last was in India. It's from western part of India, and he was absolutely well mannered. Let me have the photograph, and you know, if you look at the beauty of it, you cannot feel anything other than the passion. This is in northern Kenya, so central Kenya. I think this is the northern white rhino. There are only two left in the world right now, and this is one of them. Her name is Fatu, and she is obviously under protection. So when you see this, you feel that passion again. And finally, I would like to, this is my final slide, I'd like to show you something very interesting. Can anyone note anything other than the deer? Any other life form in this picture? Anyone?
Yeah, I think there is a crocodile over there.
Yes, Marco. Yes, absolutely right. There is a crocodile over here on this side. This is again in India. When I clicked that, I did not realize there was a crocodile, and a later only I realized there was one when the crocodile moved. Now, this is what I'm trying to show you, is that the animals, so-called animals, those who are not humans, they can actually habitation is not a problem for them. They can stay there side by side. This crocodile, it was quite a big one. It was not attacking them. The deers, there were many others, and the deer, knowing fully well the crocodile is there, he has got into the water because they know that they are safe for some reason. And these concepts of not destroying anything which you really don't need to is the key to the sustainability. That is what I just wanted to convey to you, and I just wanted to share the passion that I feel about the sustainability thing with you through these photographs. And with this, I conclude my session. Thank you very much, and I very much like to hear about what the other speakers have to say, including the students. Thank you. So I will just stop the sharing now, and yeah, over to you, Marco. Thank
Okay,
you very
thank you
much.
very much, Professor. That was very, very interesting and full of great tips and insights.
Thank you.
So I'm sure there will many questions coming from the chat box, but before answer them, I'll just go to the second speaker of today. So welcome to the stage to Victoria. So she's an ARU lecture practitioner for education for sustainability at the ARU Sustainable Institute. So welcome, Victoria. Thank you very much for being here today. And if you are ready, I will just completely leave the stage for you.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen. Can everyone see that okay?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So, yep, I'm a lecturer practitioner working in the Global Sustainability Institute. So today I'm going to talk, so I'm involved in the delivery of the rescue modules, but I'm going to talk a bit about my other role, which is to support staff members across the university with sustainability. So before I get into some examples, I'm very quickly just going to talk about why this is so important. So what is sustainability or sustainable development? And I think, Nandan, you've just provided some really nice examples and kind of explanations of it, but just to go into sustainable development sort of as a concept, essentially it's founded on 3 dimensions, which are the environmental, the societal and the economic. And you can see in the top right hand corner, there's a diagram that's often used to visualize this, although there's other ways of doing that, and I should say that each one has its own critics. But essentially the point of this diagram is that we need to be achieving the balancing of the environmental, societal and the economic. What we're doing at the moment is that we're destroying our environment basically in favor of the other two, though I think you could argue in large part in favor of the economic dimension because we haven't actually achieved social justice for all yet. When I say that, it's not to say that we haven't benefited from our current relationship with the natural world. So in the UK, for example, we have access to healthcare, we have access to good quality education, we have the right to vote, for example. These are all really great things, but we are still a highly unequal society, and that inequality is increasing, and it's been increasing over the last 30 years. So we need to fix these pressing societal issues like inequality, but we need to do this in a way that doesn't surpass crucial environmental limits or planetary boundaries, as they're called. And these limits relate to things like CO2 emissions, so the amount of greenhouse gases that we're emitting into the atmosphere, and also the way that we're changing land use, so the fact that we're converting natural habitats into agricultural spaces, for example. So why is this so crucial? Well, because at the moment, no country, literally no country in the world is getting it right. So this diagram is taken from research conducted at the University of Leeds, and it maps social justice indicators, so the things like health and education that I just mentioned, against environmental limits or boundaries. So the point that we want to reach is in the top left-hand corner, and you can see that no countries achieved this, and actually we're really far from achieving it. And that's why the Paris Climate Agreement is so crucial, because it's trying to make sure that countries stick to 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees as a maximum of warming. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and we're far from that at the moment. And it's great that there's going to be people talking about COP today. So what is actually happening at Anglia Ruskin? So we've been aware as an institution for quite a long time, actually, that education and equipping our students with the skills and knowledge needed to make the change in the world is one of the most important ways that we can have an impact. And I think seeing everything that Tatiana and other members of the Sustainability Society have done to organise these events, you would probably agree with this. So in 2014, sustainability was added as a course level learning outcome for all courses. So this means that every 5 years, when courses go through what's called the course reapproval process, there is a requirement on course leaders to demonstrate where sustainability features in their course. And whilst this is a really fantastic achievement, additional support is needed to help staff to actually understand what that means. And Nandan kind of did a bit of that work already with his presentation, actually. And my role is to help staff with that. So other initiatives that have happened are things like the course design intensives. So that happened for all courses throughout 2019 and 20, and sustainability was included as a supporting resource in that process. So there were tips and ideas of how to make sustainability part of the curriculum. Other things that have happened for anyone who tuned in yesterday to Elaine's session, you'd have heard about the Ruskin modules and the fact they're framed around the Sustainable Development Goals. We declared a climate emergency in 2019, and to back up that declaration, we created our new sustainability strategy, which will last until 2026. So this is essentially what's happening, I guess, in the policy, but what does it actually look like in practice? So I've taken examples from across the university based on some work that I've been doing with different courses. And the first example I wanted to share is from the fashion design course. So I've done quite a bit of work on the theme of sustainable fashion, and some of you actually might have attended the Sustainable Fashion Week that I supported students to run last October. And through this work, I ended up collaborating a bit with our fashion design course, and they introduced a new design brief for students as part of a module called Design and Professional Practice. And it was looking at how we might apply biomimicry to create fashion and textiles that enhance nature rather than damage and destroy nature. As part of that, I gave a guest lecture to students, but they also got in some absolutely fantastic and so inspiring speakers from the world of fashion design who talked about how they were making sustainability a part of the work that they were doing and why it was so relevant to the fashion industry more generally. This example is taken from some work that I did with the student in this picture called Holly Hawkins. She was a law student here at Anglia Ruskin, and I worked with her to try and introduce environmental law into the curriculum. So as part of that, we ended up organising a series of extracurricular seminars, and environmental law was built into dissertations. And a colleague in the law department, Helga Haney, who's currently on maternity leave, she's working on getting it added into the master's course and at an undergraduate level as well. This slide is taken from a recent guest lecture that I gave to students on the BA social work course. And over the last 2 years, I've been doing quite a bit of work with the social work course. And I've really loved researching the ways in which sustainability and social work intersect, because there are so many ways. And I've got a couple of bullet points there on this slide that you can see. But I think most crucially, what we need to understand with sustainability and with climate change is that the people who have contributed least to the world's problems are going to suffer worse. So it's already the most vulnerable in our society who are being affected, and that's both in the UK, but also in countries around the world as well. So that's really crucial. So staff and social work are now building 2 new modules into their curriculum that are focused on sustainability, and those will be delivered from this September. And I'm really excited to see what those look like. This slide here is taken from a piece of work that was actually funded through some grants that we made available to staff, and it involves students and staff creating a digital magazine with a focus on sustainability and science fiction. So if you're into science fiction writing at all, I'm sure you'll be immediately able to think about what the sort of connections are between science fiction and sustainability, and the author Margaret Atwood jumps to mind for me. But there are lots of other connections. So eco-criticism is another way in which sustainability can be applied through a literary lens. Other things like post-colonialism, feminism, post-humanism are all absolutely relevant. So this is the final example I have, and this is taken from a quote from a third-year primary education study student who took part in a module on arts-based approaches to environmental and sustainability education. And I won't read out the full quote, but what I think is absolutely wonderful in this, and hopefully you'll have a chance to quickly read it, is that the student herself is asking for more. So she is saying, you know, it's great to have been introduced to these issues, but why was this not done from the first year? And how could this be made part of every single module that I'm doing, part of my whole course, essentially? So it's really fantastic to see that passion and enthusiasm coming from students. So just to close, I've got a couple of tips and ideas for how you can make this part of your course. So firstly, really important is that it is relevant to every course. The way that I like to think about this is to use this diagram of the environmental, societal, and the economic to think about, or for you to sort of consider which of these you think dominates more in your course, why that is, and whether you can bring in some of the other elements to think about balancing those 3 out. If you don't feel like an expert in it, that's absolutely fine. You could start by inviting in extracurricular guest speakers, timetabled guest speakers. You could run a conference to immerse students in this topic and build from there. You can link it to things like the active curriculum, the diversifying agenda, thinking about decolonizing our curriculum, the inclusive curriculum, the employability agenda, live briefs. There's so many different ways in. And finally, just some next steps and pointers for you. So I would say if you're interested in this and you want some support, please get in touch. I'm always really happy to work with staff and students and think about how this links to their curriculum. There's also really useful guidance that's been created. So the Advanced HE and QAA have recently just launched guidance on education for sustainable development on how you can link sustainability to your curriculum. Do some research into what's already happening in your discipline. I am honestly sure that if you look at what's out there, whether it's practitioners or whether it's in the theory, people will already have spoken about sustainability in relation to your discipline. And then last thing, collaborate across Anglia-Ruskin. So if you want to know more about, I don't know, sustainability and conservation, reach out to colleagues in life sciences. For example, we have a huge amount of shared knowledge and resource here at Anglia-Ruskin, so use it is what I would say. So that's it from me. I'm gonna end there, and feel free to ask any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria, for telling us the relationship between sustainability and ARU, what they are doing, and also thank you for the last slide that you put, about tips and crucial ideas and so that we can embrace. Thank you very much, Victoria, and I'm just going to welcome to the last but not least speaker that we're going to have today. I would like to introduce Hobey, that is also a lecturer of the Faculty of Business and Law with a strong focus education for stability development in higher education institutions. Welcome, Hobey, and thank you very much for being here. And if you are ready, we are all very excited to listen to your perspective, personal perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco. I'll just set up my slide. Okay, so F9. Sorry, everyone, for this slide.
No worries, it's fine.
Thank you. Okay, that's my slide, I think. Okay, so I'll drop in. Okay. So, hello everyone. Like Marco said, my name is Dr. Obey Sule. I'm one of your lecturers in the Faculty of Business and Law. I'm a lecturer in Business and Human Resource Management. Today we've been asked to talk about practical approaches to teaching sustainability. Like my colleagues might have indicated, 10 minutes is such a small time to talk about our passion for sustainability, but I'll try. I'll be touching on the importance of teaching sustainability, knowledge action gap, and best practices. So I won't dwell on this so much because my colleagues who have spoken before me have really shared with us why teaching sustainability is important. One of the important things to just point out is students, like yourselves and many around the country and in the world, have in several regards indicated their interest in sustainability within the curriculum, not only from the personal angle, which is stemming from a concern about the environment and many other factors in society, but also because of the students perceive the importance of sustainability to their future employment. And this features in the National Union of Students reports, which they've done for the past 10 years annually. So just to point that out, so many students find education for sustainability, or otherwise also known as sustainability education or education for sustainable development, as very, very important to themselves, but also to their future employment. So in 2014, based in the GSI, our Global Sustainability Institute, I was looking at how to advance education for sustainability. I've been very engaged with efforts in the community to promote it in education. So I decided to go on for my PhD to explore the area further. And around that time I joined, started my PhD research, we were just ending the decade of education for sustainable development. And the UNESCO report, written alongside experts in the field, identified that we've made a lot of success over the 10 years decade of education for sustainability in terms of raising awareness of sustainability matters. However, they also noted that generally students' high level of awareness do not tend to translate to action. So I was very keen to understand why this was happening, and I set out to exploit the education for sustainability research available at the time. And I found out that this was still featuring within the literatures. Yes, agreeably, some students were taking action, but generally we had this high level of awareness, but very little action. In the, if you look at that from a behavioral science perspective, which I did, drawing on different, I looked at the environmental science around taking action. I looked at our traditional behavioral science from the socio-psychological perspective. I also looked at the economic perspective in terms of our behavior. And one question that arose was, why are we having this gap? So I'm going to show you, I'm going to go on. So this is something, so this is what I mapped out, having looked at this gap from these fields of studies I've just mentioned, because we didn't have anything in the AFS literature at that time addressing this question. So I found, bringing together this school of thought, that when we receive information, it goes through some processes in our minds, which cognitive processes, our values, our intention. These are the things that, are going through our mind. And our values or our affective behavior or attitude, it's linked to our beliefs and our subjective norms. I won't have so much time to go because I know I just have 10 minutes, so I'll be really quick through this. But basically, in a nutshell, a vast array of empirical work show that there are internal, cognitive and psychological factors, as well as the external environmental conditions and constraints that can hinder or enable our actions, okay? That can hinder or enable our information translating to our attitude and in turn our behavior. So I found two main gaps in simple words. So you might receive an information, but for that information to translate to a positive attitude for sustainability in this case, it goes through various processes, it's influenced by various factors. Then even when you have that intention to take action for sustainability, other factors can influence it happening. For example, how your perceived behavioral control, how you perceive your ability to take the action, and your whole old habits, your old habits, either if you take the action today, tomorrow you relapse and go back to your old habit. And also how the external environment are facilitating us to take the action. So importantly was reflection. I found reflection very interesting. Reflection and feedback helping us to reinforce our behavior, okay? So I did then go on to speak to our EFS practitioners across who agreed to take part in the study across the UK. And I found three models emerging from my data. So the first was there are some practitioners who assume that when they give us the knowledge, that it will translate to our sustainability attitude and then action. So they just focus on giving you knowledge and expect that that would translate into your attitude and then your action. Then we have another group of practitioners who have focused on giving knowledge, but also providing the opportunity for your attitude for attitude formation, for your pro-sustainability attitude, which they believe will lead to you then being able to take action. Then we have the third group of practitioners who not only give you knowledge, but also engage you in terms of the attitude to enable your attitude to crystallize, and also engage you in action to keep you repeating those actions, giving you opportunities to take actions for sustainability such that you become confident and that behavior crystallizes. So those were the three I found. And I'm just going to go to the next one. So this is like a full map of my findings. So I won't be able to go in details because of my time, but I'll just take you through the 6 routes I found, okay? So the 6 routes I found. so we had three types of institutional approach to EFS. So there were those who were normalizing sustainability education within their organization, meaning like Victoria just said, where we, for example, in Anglia, we put it in, we normalize it in our processes, in our systems, in our procedures. And you also have those who made it mandatory. So they just make it mandatory for staff to engage, but that doesn't mean they've normalized it. Okay. And then you have those who didn't make it mandatory. So you were seeing in those schools, you see pockets of staff trying to do something. So you see just pockets of individuals doing their best to connect in networks, and they have low strategic support because there's not that mandate from the strategic team. So that there was I found they had low collaboration and partnerships taking place, and they were focusing on knowledge, leading to low number of active student engagement. Another pathway I found was for those in the mandatory who were mandated to put and to include EFS in their teaching. They went into three routes. Okay, for the route 5, so they cluster around having academic regulations, policies, incentives, grants. They were engaging in communication and networks and trainings and guided resources. And then you see two pathways emerge. Those who had strategic support high, and also students asking them or arguing for curriculum change persuasively. They had high collaboration and partnership, and also they were also using the third strategy, which was knowledge engagement, attitude engagement, and action engagement. They were having high level of active student engagement. The other two pathways found here was, though they were mandated to engage with the EFS in their curriculum, and they had medium strategic support, and they went down to have medium collaboration and partnership, meaning within the school, okay? And they were also using EFS model 2, which was knowledge engagement and attitude engagement, but they were not engaging in, they were not facilitating action. They ended up having medium number of student engagement, okay? So the other two pathways, those normalizing EFS in their curriculum, you see things around, one interesting thing that separated them was those who had students actively engaged, driving forces behind the institutional agenda. They had high level of strategic support and high level of collaboration, and they were using the EFS model 3, which was knowledge engagement, attitude engagement, and action engagement. They were having high level of student engagement, while the other one don't normalize, but it was really about staff pushing for it, and they had high strategic support, but and high collaboration and partnership among staff, but they were using EFS model 1, which were just giving knowledge, hoping that knowledge would translate to action. And I've just shown you that there's a gap between knowledge and action, so they have low number of student engagement. So if you look at this, you will see the core elements that leads to high level of student engagement in sustainability action are where students are driving forces for EFS, okay? So students actively calling for it, actively engaging in sustainability initiatives, coming up with sustainability initiatives, just like this one we're in today, and combined with strategic support. But as you see here on this pathway, strategic support may be low or high, but what really is the key point was student engagement, and also the model, which was that on giving knowledge, but also engaging in attitude and action formation. So those are the key things, and importantly, an ethos of trust. So trust meaning breaking that staffs and students coming together to build an environment where they break down silo working and collaboratively work across the institution for this sustainability agenda. So those were my key findings, and these are the models again. So just to sum it up, in an environment where EFS knowledge is being driven only, it leads to low level of student engagement. Where EFS knowledge and also attitude engagement is being enabled, it goes up a bit, but the best situation is where there's knowledge engagement, pro-sustainability engagement and also action engagement. So in simple terms, in your curriculum, you might find opportunities to reflect on real world situation, which we have. So we have experiential learning, we have authentic learning, things that make you reflect on real world situations, like in our business school, where we give enable students to choose case studies, and any topics of their choice, and reflect on it in a business report. So as a student, you have the opportunity to engage with, your real world experience. At that point, that's an example. Some institutions, they go on to not only in the core curriculum, but also create extra and co-curriculum opportunities for students to engage on their sustainability pathway in terms of their knowledge and their attitude formation, where they question existing norms and reflect on how we do things now in relation to where we want to be, and begin to look at how things are done in their organizations or in organizations of their choices towards identifying the best practice for sustainability issues. So I'm just conscious of my time, and so I know we have question time shortly afterward. So I would end mine now. So if you have any questions relating to what I've said or want me to elaborate on any aspect of what I've said, please, by all means, do so within the question and answer session. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Obey, for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And has been like great to listen to the perspective of a teacher in regard to the subject of sustainability. But as I said before, we're just gonna hear another part of the situation. So we are the academic teacher that will present their arguments or ideas regarding about how sustainability is being taught. And now it's time for the students. For this reason, we invite here today 3 students, such as Christina, that is faculty rep of the Faculty of Business and Law. We got Imogen, faculty rep of the ARU Health Education, Medicine and Social Care, and Menzi, faculty rep of the Finance. So let's introduce the stage, Christina. And if you're ready, you can just unmute your microphone and start presenting.
Hi everyone. I just want to thank all these amazing professionals that took the time to share their passion and knowledge with us today. I know everyone is very busy, but it's amazing to see that you're taking your personal time to share even more knowledge that you do with us, except for the classes that we already have. I just wanted to say that it was great to see that sustainability was part of my curriculum as a tourism and event student, even from the first year. So it's great to see that the university is actually taking the time to introduce this concept to students, at least in my course from an early stage, because in my country, we don't really talk about sustainability. So I had a lot of knowledge to take in, but I had amazing teachers that showed me that sustainability is a process and it's not something that you should just tick as a box and then you're done. No, it's a process that you need to engage from day one, and you'll have to carry on during your entire studies and later in your life. And I think it's great to see that more people are becoming more aware of it, and I think that the university still has to take some steps in order to make it even more important and to highlight it even more for students. But I think we're on the right track with this, and I really hope that later, when I come back to this university, I will see it in even a greater place when it comes to sustainability. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Christina. Thank you very much for your personal perspective. So now it's time for our second speaker, Imogen. So if you are ready, please unmute your microphone and you can start.
Hiya. Yeah, this has been incredible to hear everybody's academic experiences as such. I love that, as Victoria mentioned, that social work and education are starting to implement sustainability into their curriculum. HEMS is a very unsustainable faculty in a sense because of all of our healthcare courses, and as you know, like healthcare, a lot of things are single use. So there's still a way to go. I would love for more stuff to be implemented into the curriculum for nursing and medicine, and like my specialty, which is medical science, majority of stuff in a lab goes into a bin at the end of the day. So it'll be really interesting to see what I can come up with in terms of implementing sustainability into other sectors where, like I said, it's very heavy on lots of waste and lots of single use for a reason. There's a reason that a lot of things are single use. But it'd be nice to see what could be done in that sense. But this has given me some really good ideas and things to be able to take back and see what we can get done about even just teaching people about different things in sustainability that they can implement outside of the workplace.
Thank you very much, Imogen, for your insightful idea. So we got our first student, such as Manzi, coming from the Cambridge School of Arts.
Yeah.
So please do feel free to expose your thoughts.
Yeah, so Marco, I've been hugely inspired by what I've been listening, and I've put together a PowerPoint as we speak. So just bear with it if it's not perfect. And I want to share my screen for that, and I will try and be quick. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Like I said, I was hugely inspired, and I've just completely changed everything that I was going to say. And the first thing that why you asked me to speak about is why should sustainability be spoken about in the classroom? And this is more in relevance to the field I come from, which is fine art. So to start off, I want to give you an example of this artist called Agnes Dean, and she's done this project called the Tree Mountain in Finland in 1992. This was a land reclamation project, and she's planted some 11,000 trees with people from all around the world. The trees were mathematically planted, using mathematical combinations, and it's a protected land which is going to be protected for 4 centuries. And so I think this is an epitome of an example of what art can do in terms of addressing the climate or the crisis. And the climate crisis is not just a scientific or a technological crisis. It's also a cultural crisis. And our culture per se is something, broadly speaking, it's our way of life, our way of being. And if we want to implement a complete, and that's where the arts come in. And so this Tree Mountain is, I think, a great example of what the power that art has, what it can do. And Professor Nandan, I think he said that in physics, etc., you can be rigid, you have to be rigid, whereas art has the freedom. You can make believe, you can create things, you can imagine things, and that's how it becomes very relevant. The power, the significance, and that's why it's important to harness this power and use it, and empower the students of today, especially in the higher education sector, so that when they go out tomorrow in society and they start to function as art practitioners, they function with sustainability at the core of their practice, and it's not something that they think of as as an afterthought. And as relevance to, so that's why, like I said, art is not a mirror that you hold unto reality, but a hammer with which you shape it. So we need to harness that and recognize the importance that the arts, the change that they can produce, the cultural shift that they can influence, which is actually a matter of urgency. In terms of what is being done in in the courses right now, I think there's a general stewardship in guiding students in relevance to the choices they make when it comes to their practice, their methodologies, their research methods, and also the awareness of the materials, to a slight extent of their carbon footprint. There's the Sustainability Art Prize, which happens every year, and it's gaining momentum. Each year. It's a very big event in the Cambridge School of Art, and there are internships and residencies with the Global Sustainability Institute. However, there's more that needs to be done, and the more you do, the less it is, and this especially here. So I think, practically speaking, there could be awareness created in relevance in terms of workshops being conducted, exposure, and the ability to interact practically with artists who use sustainability in their way of working. So you engage with them, you can probably intern with them, interact with them, create awareness amongst the students in relevance to their carbon footprint on a personal and an organizational level. whereas collaborations not just within the Cambridge School of Art, but also cross-disciplinary, with various scientists, mathematicians, ecologists. And I think very significantly, if collaborations can happen with the local community, so students are given the opportunity to interact with the local community and create change using their practice in their art, and obviously getting for green jobs to come in the future. And as we speak, there is action being taken with the GSI, Victoria Tate, a few students, and the faculty getting towards a 2-day symposia, completely focused on incorporating sustainability slowly and in long term in the curriculum. And if that happens, I think that will be a very significant step in the right direction. So just to quickly end, why in the higher education sector is really important is because, as this designer says, if you do it right, it will last forever. So we need to empower the younger students of today so that they understand the significance of the power that they have as artists when they go out in the world. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Menzi.
Okay, I will just quickly sharing. Have I stopped sharing?
Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much, Manzi, for your perspective, your point of view. Very useful for that. And I think that we have a 10 minutes window for the discussion between students and teacher. So in this just small window, if one party want to ask any question or any clarification to the other, such as students from teacher, I mean, if there are any doubts that you want to ask or any other information regarding, let's say, a specific focus from that is coming from one teacher to another, or just ask an open question to all the teacher. So I don't know, maybe the students want to ask something first to the teacher. If you have any question or clarification to ask to our guests today. Oh, okay, I think it's coming up on the chat box.
In the chat box, there is a question from Imogen.
Yeah, okay. So Imogen is asking, what's the best way to approach a lecture about sustainability? I don't know if it's pointed like to a specific teacher, or it just, I think it's an open question to all the teachers that we have today. So
Victoria, would you like to take that?
Yeah, I can take that question. The best way to approach a lecture about sustainability. So I would say, think about yourself, where you might have experienced something that you think relates to sustainability within your course. So if there's something that you felt, oh, actually that's kind of linked to sustainability, but maybe we should have talked about this other element. So I know when I worked with Holly, who's she was the law student, she approached me first and said, I want to be having debates and discussions about things like fracking and nuclear energy. In law, it's all about discussion, it's all about debate, arguing your point of view. And she just wanted the case studies that they were using to be reflective of discussions happening within the sustainability field, and she wanted to know why there wasn't more of that happening at the time. So she did initially approach me, but then we I think I sent a message around to staff working in the law on the law course, and just said, is there anyone who's interested in this? Can we talk to you about this? And then, there was a lecturer, Helga, who said her particular area of expertise is human rights, but there's so many intersections there. And I think when you start thinking about sustainability from that environmental, societal, and economic sort of thinking about those dimensions and thinking about it quite holistically, there's always going to be entry points. So it's maybe approaching someone you feel most comfortable with, someone who's mentioned something that made you think about sustainability, or just, contacting a couple of lecturers and just seeing who responds, really.
Okay, cool. So I think that I'm not sure if there are any other questions because I cannot see any other of them like in chat box. But if you have any other question that you want to ask, please use the email address that has been previously posted. So we'll try to answer to them as many as we can. And so just gonna remind you that the next session will be at 11:15. That will be with a representative from the United Nations alongside with the ARU Law Society. That is more about learn about the Sustainable Development Goals and climate action. And if you want to find out like other information about the other event, the other session that we're running this evening and tomorrow, will be the Summit Hub. So if you can access the Summit Hub, you can just check everything. So if we don't have any other question or any other clarification information about it, so I'll just close the session of today saying that thank you to all the guests and to all the attendees of today's session, to the students too. And just gonna express all my gratitude to the Sustainability Society and its President Tatiana for the great summit organization, and also the possibility to present this session today, and always to be a member and attendees of the summit. So it's been a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to be part of, let's say, this road to a better future. And I hope to see you in the next session. And yeah, thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.